My partner and I have been in a relationship for 5 years, living together for 4. Recently my partner came home having had a short meeting with a financial advisor and was really eager to talk about our financial future WRT savings goals, life plans, timelines for saving up a deposit for a house, etc. This is a conversation I've been trying to have for years with him, so you'd think great, right? I should be really happy we're finally there. But I'm not. Talking about us going for a meeting with a financial advisor and starting to build towards our future together has given me really cold feet about the relationship. I think part of it is why now? I've been trying to talk to him about this for a really long time. With renewed efforts at the start of this year when I landed my first full-time salaried position and was working out my budget / personal savings goals. Just 4 months ago he wouldn't have a conversation about it. But now that the financial advisor has said the same things, it's obviously something we should be doing and I should just jump on board with? I think if the advice was particularly different to what I'm already planning, I'd be less annoyed. But the advice is the same. There's a certain type of savings account you can start in the UK specifically for saving up for a house. And I've been talking about planning to open one once I'm full-time employed for literally 3 years. And he brought it up like this new, novel idea I'd never heard of. It makes me wonder if he's ever listened to anything I've ever said. He's always been more frightened of commitment / taking the next step. And I've driven that for the majority of our relationship. Become official / exclusive? I pushed for it. Move in together? I pushed for it. Start a joint account for household costs? Me move into a bigger place and buy our own furniture? My call. And every step of the way he's against it and I have to convince him why it's the right decision. I've tried to have this financial future talk for a long time, and also the talk about mapping out what our future plans are together. But he's never wanted to have it. I guess I feel a lot of resentment that he's finally ready to talk about this because someone else has told him it's a good idea. It also brings up a lot of worries I've had about the future that might have been sitting under the surface for a while. Like the marriage and kids talk, I've always been clear about what I want, and he's always vaguely agreed with me. But trying to talk to him about time scales for it is like pulling teeth and always turns into an argument. It's not like I'm saying you have to propose now or I'm leaving or anything. It's literally just stuff like, ideally I'd like to be thinking about engagement and buying a house by 28 and married looking to have kids by 30. So he's literally got like half a decade. But we can't have that conversation because he shuts down / gets annoyed / feels pressured. And I have no idea what he wants from the future because he won't tell me. There's a lot of resentment in this post and I feel the need to clarify that I love him. He's my best friend and our day-to-day life is a dream. But I always feel like I'm dragging him into a future he doesn't want. And that he doesn't really trust / listen to me as an equal partner. Until someone else tells him the same things I've been trying to say. I don't want that to be my future. I want someone who has these conversations with me and is excited about taking the next step. This feels like it has been one of the biggest underlying issues in our relationship that we've never been able to address. He doesn't ever really seem to listen to / consider me and often prioritizes his relationships with others. It's like he's expecting that I'll always just be there until he's ready, and that's not a very nice feeling to have. I'm not really sure where to go from here. I guess my big question is how do I move past this resentment into a productive conversation about goals / expectations. I would like to be excited that he's finally ready to take this step together, but I just feel annoyed and uncertain. I would also like to address the issues of not feeling like a priority once and for all, since previous attempts haven't been successful. So I suppose my other question is how do I make our communication better so that we can actually talk about these things and come up with a plan to fix them? I'm 15 years old. I have a stepsister who is a couple years older than me and she is really seriously disabled. I'm not sure what's wrong with her because no one ever wants to discuss it with me, but she's nonverbal, breaks her bones a lot, and has severe epilepsy and will have many fitting episodes. She also doesn't understand stuff. That's probably the easiest way to put it. She's just a human body with nothing inside. She's my stepmom's daughter. My stepmom married my dad 3 years ago and they dated only for a year before that. I don't know my stepmom very well and I don't really get on with her. We are respectful to each other, but I'm basically living with strangers because she's so busy with her daughter and my dad. I am always on my own, and I used to hate it, but I'm used to it now. Ever since they moved in to live with us, life changed drastically for me because all the care now revolves around my stepsister. That's fine, I get it. But both my stepmom and my dad ask me to do things for my stepsister that I don't want to do and I resent doing. Stuff like staying home when I want to go to the mall with my friends. They're disappointed that I don't get her anything for her birthday with my very limited funds, etc. My own mom passed away when I was small, so I can't go and stay anywhere else, and all in all I'm just a lot more angry than I used to be, because they seem really disappointed whenever I say I don't want to do anything for her. Even stuff like feeding her, like I don't want to sit there feeding her banana pudding and wiping her drool. I didn't ask for this. Anyway, she recently fell a few days ago and had a seizure for 8 minutes. She was taken to hospital and the doctors want to keep her in and look after her. I don't want to go and visit her. I remember seeing my mom in hospital before she died, and I just hate hospitals, and I sort of hate my stepsister, and I just don't want to go and visit someone who doesn't even know I'm there. My stepmom is really upset with me, and so is my dad. They haven't yelled at me or anything, but they are both being super cold towards me because I don't want to visit. My grandma, who lives in Canada, called me about the blue and told me it was okay. And I don't need to force myself to go to the hospital, so I'm assuming my dad has told her I'm refusing to go. He keeps pleading with me, but I keep telling him I'm not doing it. I told him hospitals remind me of mom, and he got even more upset and said my stepsister might die and I need to stop being so selfish towards my stepmom. I'm a native French speaker from Canada, but I have a very pronounced Acadian//Kayak accent. For those who don't know, it's pretty much a mix of French and English with some local dialect thrown in there. Pretty common in the Maritimes, where I still live. I'm perfectly bilingual in both languages. I started dating my boyfriend, who only speaks English, about 4 years ago and spent a lot of time with his family. They've all been really great, except for one of his aunts. She says she was a French teacher in Anglophone schools for over 40 years up until a year ago and even studied in France. And she insists on only talking to me in French. I agreed at first since I didn't want to be rude to his family, but it's getting super weird. I don't understand how she was able to teach kids English or how she comes up with most of her sentence. Like I have to guess 90% of whatever she says and hope I'm right because it makes absolutely no sense. Example, she said a la citrouille la tarte va bien dans ma bouche, which roughly translates to the pumpkin a pie goes well in my mouth, when she meant this pumpkin pie tastes delicious. She constantly criticizes my accent and tries to correct my pronunciation of certain words, and tells me I need to pick a language. When I accidentally say something in kayak, speaking proper Francais standard is actually getting harder for me since I've been only studying / working in English. So last night during dinner she started going on about how Acadians were uneducated and made no effort to properly learn a language, which is total BS, and obviously weirdly directed at me. For the rest of the night I stopped guessing what she was trying to say to me in French, acting like I didn't understand anything, and started correcting her as well, which was pretty much every single sentence she said. I wasn't trying to be rude or aggressive about it, but after a while she gave up on the French and ignored me for the rest of the night. Turns out she was super pissed and told everyone I was trying to embarrass her in front of everyone. Looking back, I think I might have taken it too far by not stopping after 2 to 3 sentences, and I feel bad. My boyfriend said I was being why, while his mom said she probably deserved it. Forgot to mention that I told her a few years ago that it's hard for me to fully speak proper French as I spoke kayak all my life. Tried to explain Acadian culture. She wasn't having it, surprise, and she stopped for a while but is now doing it again. I've been with my fiancé for 3 years, 8 months engaged. We've had our ups and downs, but for the most part things have been pretty great, until she moved in 6 months ago. We've been combining our lifestyles and finances, basically easing into merging our lives together. The problem is she's a people pleaser, in her own words. She's been in therapy for 6 years, and I guess I never knew how bad it was until moving in with her. A lot of which she's hidden from me. She recently was promoted into accounts payable at her company and realized she is the lowest paid person on payroll. She didn't negotiate a good starting wage, and has never asked for a raise, or had one, despite multiple promotions. She inherited a car a few months ago and sold it. She had offers online from $18,000 to $25,000. But sold it to the first person who showed up for $10,000. She caught someone stealing her bike at college. The woman stealing the bike managed to convince my fiancé that it was actually her bike, and my fiancé just let her take it, despite the fact that she caught the woman cutting her bike lock. Last spring was my 30th birthday and she ordered a giant chocolate cake for the party. The cake normally comes with nuts, but given my allergy for nuts, she ordered it without them. Well, when she went to pick it up and it had nuts on it, she just paid for it and brought it home. I couldn't even be in the same room as the cake. Which brings us to tomorrow. My father recently passed away and I need to fly to the other end of the country to get things sorted out with family, attend the funeral, etc. Meanwhile, we recently had a pipe burst in our home, and the contractors will be out tomorrow to fix it. My flight's at 6 a.m. and my fiancé will have to handle it, including all the negotiations because we don't know the extent of the damages. I've been giving it a lot of thought and I just don't trust my fiancé to handle it. And if I can't trust or rely on her to do something like this, how can we really be life partners? I mean, I trust that she is always looking out for me and has my best interest at heart, but I can't trust her to get things done. We've talked about it a few times before, but it's been unproductive. She's convinced she's just being nice and doesn't like confrontation, then brings up examples of extremely confrontational people. I think she puts her aversion to conflict above her / our long-term goals, and she needs to find a happy medium. She doesn't understand how negatively this is impacting her life. But at the same time, we've had some amazing years together and she really is a great person. We're compatible in almost every other way.